Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, WatchYoMouthReviews. This is your boy James, where today I'm here to give you my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. It's not going to happen this video, and that's okay. We'll live to fight another day. Joining me is my co-host, Mrs. Beth. Y'all say what's up to her.
Good morning and happy Father's Day to everyone out there who is a father figure. Happy Heavenly Father's Day to all the dads watching down from heaven. I hope everybody has a good day.
Yes, thank you for saying that, y'all. It is a tough day for me, as you guys may or may not know. For those of you who are new to my channel, I did lose my father 2 years ago, unfortunately, due to cancer. So today is a tough day because he actually died this month on June 3rd. So it is a tough month for me, but most of all, Father's Day being the exact same month, it's tough. So, appreciate all well wishes and prayers as I try to get through this very beautiful Sunday. So, with that being said, y'all, we are going to talk all things Belle Collective. And when I tell y'all this episode worked on my nerves, it worked on my nerves, y'all. I cannot lie. The first thing that worked on my nerves is where we left off with Letitia calling Glendale and telling Glendale, hey, I just heard from Selena that you consulted a divorce attorney. What was that about, Glendale? He goes, first off, Letitia, I didn't consult with no divorce attorney. I saw an attorney. Well, what you gonna say? What you gonna say? An attorney for? Why, Glendale? He goes, listen, I wanted a better understanding of this whole, asset things. I wanted to make sure my assets were protected while you were researching and do this post nup. She goes, well, why you didn't tell me about it? Why do I gotta hear it? You over there telling Mike, and Mike went and told Selena. Now Selena bringing it to the bells. Like, Glendale, you are yet again putting me in another situation where I'm finding out things at the last minute. Now, hindsight is 2020. I totally get that. And Letitia is right. Glendale should have 100% told her the truth about, wanting to seek out counsel to get a better understanding of how posting work. I 100% agree because look at how information gets back to other people, and it was the complete wrong information. So Letitia's like, well, I'm going to leave the event. So she takes off and she leaves and, says that she's glad he's out of town because, when he gets back, she's going to have another conversation. And I say, here we go. Carlos, I'm sick of these two because now Letitia is going to drag this shit on for episodes and episodes and episodes to come. I don't care. Moral of the story is we know that in today's time they're very much so still together, like they probably would be nonetheless. So what are we doing here? So I'm just annoyed with Letitia already. She ain't even in episode 30 seconds. I was already annoyed. So Mrs. Best, I have to ask you, how did you feel about the information being brought to Letitia in this way and then her confronting Glendale about what's going on?
I don't care. What did you? I mean, you're threatening a man with a postnuptial agreement. One would expect him to go to an attorney and consult, but I don't care, and I'm not gonna give them energy no more.
Right. That's how I feel. I'm like, we beat a dead horse over this at this point. Like, whatever. So I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge the comments before we get into the next scene. So Dr. Jim Bunny is here. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're ready because we got a lot of reading to do. Good afternoon, New American Born. We appreciate you being here as well. I love the sunflowers. Mrs. Beth saying good morning. I know I said good morning. We acknowledge Happy Father's Day. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. I hope it's their last season as well, but we know that's too much like right. Glendale's always on a get back, and I'm sick of them. They can leave. Exactly. I'm exhausted. Yes. After saying previously she wanted to be celibate, now just non-storylines. The thing about that celibacy shit, that was some bullshit to begin with. That was her trying to punish him for the cheating because she probably gave him access to her aside from him doing the cheating. So that was a way to get back at him, but the shit backfired because all he was going to do was, use the exact reason of that to go out there and go mess around with somebody. So she really didn't think that one through at all. So, but this is Letitia once again we're talking about. So there you have it. There's nothing more we can say, nothing more we can do. We just hope that she sees the light. Maybe, not maybe, but y'all know how I am. But anyways, the next thing we're going to talk about is Cliff meeting up with his mother-in-law, Latrice's mother. Her name is Miss Gloria, I believe. Is either Gloria or Glinda, one of them. So they're talking about, Latrice, and the conversation that they had is that Latrice wants a baby. Now, Cliff was like, well, here's the thing. She waited too late to have a baby. I wanted to have a baby 10 years ago. She didn't want to have no baby. He getting up there in age. He already has 5 kids. So he's like, look, she missed her calling. It should have happened when I would like it to happen. And the mom said, well, everybody at least need to have at least one baby. At least one baby. And I retired to make sure I help Latrice, with the grandbaby and everything. And he said, you are not going to retire. We threw you a whole party for your retirement. Latrice said she was going to retire you, and you went to work literally the next day. So you're not going to help with this baby. You're not going to do it. No, it's not going to happen. So Cliff is putting his foot down. It's not going to happen. Now, this is going to be one of those situations where I see both sides. I do. I see both sides. I understand that there is now a desire. Sometimes with kids, sometimes it does take a minute for that to resonate. Hey, I'm not ready for a kid. And then when things start to get better, then maybe you'll start to feel an itch. I didn't want kids my entire 20s. That changed right around maybe 32, 33-ish when I started wanting kids. So sometimes for some people, it happens a little bit later. So I don't fault Latrice for wanting a kid now when she was ready to have one. On the flip side, I see Cliff's point of view as well. Cliff is 57. Now, 57 is a very mature age to be starting over after you have grown kids and then grandchildren. So I get his take on it too. Why would he want to start over and do all of this when he has children and then grandchildren? So I totally see his point of view as well. So this one was a hard one for me to be like, they both have valid points. So we'll see, we'll touch more of this later when we go back to the scene with them. So Mrs. Best, how did you feel about, the mother trying to convince Cliff to give Latrice a baby? How did you feel that was?
It's okay to not have kids. I think that's a very old school way of thinking. Everybody does not need a child, actually. Especially looking at how these kids behave and how the adults behave. Not everybody needs a child, but I don't know. Cliff and Latrice have a lot going on in their marriage. They show a lot without showing much at all. I don't know if she can't even prioritize her own health over a business, I don't see how she would want to have a baby. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Also, Dr. Jen is correct. I feel like they drink a lot. They travel a lot. They don't really have the lifestyle that is appropriate for raising children. They would I feel like they would be relying on their help to more so raise the kids. But I think it's a little weird for her mom to have that conversation with her husband. I just think that's very weird. Like, have it with the person who has to carry the kid or have it with both of them, But that's just me. Like, when my mother-in-law be tripping off grandkids and shit, she texts my phone or call me. She will text me and call me. So I feel like a lot of parents will go for the woman because that's the person who has to carry the child. That's the person who also has to nurse the child, feed the child. Like, the mother is pivotal, but I don't know. We'll see.
Not he looks so old to you.
He does. I didn't know he was in his 50s.
How old did you think he was?
I thought he was like 70.
You thought Cliff was in his 70s?
Yes. I had no clue. Because they make it seem
American
like
board, yeah.
Is like so big, and he looks so old to me. Like, when you look at him, he looked like somebody in their 70s.
Now, 60s I could get, but 70s, Come on, Mrs. Best. That's his 70s. He is a hard 56. He really is. Like, I
He
ain't gonna
looks
lie.
like he looked like somebody in his 70s. I got uncles in Mississippi running around Biloxi that's Creole light skinned just like Cliff in their 70s. I have a 77-year-old uncle that looked just like Cliff. So that's why I thought that man was that good.
Okay, that makes
Well,
sense.
maybe my uncle looked good.
He probably does. Like, yeah, like,
He
I
still
mean,
be
he
getting
look like
bitches.
Clifton.
He still be pulling bitches. I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but I don't know. I thought Cliff was like 71. I had no clue he was only 56. Because y'all own fans make it seem like their age gap is huge, but if he's only 56, that's not that bad.
No, they're only 20 years apart. So, yeah. It's
Okay.
just it is like, but I kind of see more Cliffside than I do Latrice's, unfortunately, because I'm with Dr. Jim Bunny. I don't know why you would consider you've been with this man 10 years of your life that you wouldn't have thought, okay, he's going to get older and has grandchildren and probably had grandchildren at the time you got with him that,
Because she was trying to match him in income and success. If you look back on earlier seasons, it seemed like she's always felt like she had to prove something to him or to other people, probably because of the age group. And I feel like because of that, she waited. But
yeah,
I mean, who wants to have a baby in their late 50s? Like,
yeah.
nobody wants to do that.
I agree. Dr. Jim Bunny said, I wanted in my late 20s and early 30s, and I realized we are programmed to think that's what we should do at American Born.
Mm.
They just want to reproduce so they can have more worker bees to keep them richer. Listen, no, and I totally get that too. Listen, in my entire 20s, I said I am not having children. I was determined not to have children. Now I'm starting to get to a point where, like, if it happens, great. If it doesn't,
I think for women is different though, because her comment is extremely relatable. I think for all women of all races in especially American society, we are programmed to think that we have to like be married and with a baby, like at least one before 30. And that's what I realized once I hit 30, also, Dr. Jen. Like, do I really want to do this? Can I afford this? Do I want to make this sacrifice and commitment? Because that's definitely what it is. And the economy, absolutely not.
the state of the world. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, American Born is crazy. But anyways, we're gonna move on, y'all, to the next scene. The next scene we have is Marie's date with the gentleman that she ended up choosing at the matchmaking event that the rest of the Bells put together. So Latrice is actually sponsoring the date at her restaurant Taste. So Carlos actually gets there before Marie. So Latrice has a second to talk to him, and she gets to know him better. Her question's like, well, what are your intentions with my fellow Belle? And he was like, well, at this point, I just really want to get to know her. That's all. He kept it real simple and cute. She said, okay, okay. So Marie actually gets there. She looked good. This is definitely a better style for Marie. That dress was beautiful. Um, she walked in. They, get to know each other, and he is an aerospace engineer, I believe he said. I know that he, sells aircrafts and helps, the military gets what they need when it comes to supplies and demand. So, very good career. They both first very similar. They each have 4 kids. He has one up on her with one child having 4 kids. Marie just has the 3 grandchildren. So they have very similar paths, as go figure. And he says in his spare time, he loves to sing. And she says, "Why don't you sing me something?" He goes, "Oh, Maria," some shit. That shit was cracking me up. He goes, "You smell so sweet. You got that juice." I was like, Lord Jesus, not you singing all loud. And Marie was just the cheese and smiling hard. She thought that was nice. Yeah. Um, he a big step up from Cedric. I will say that. Handsome guy. Well, I'm not gonna take that away. Handsome guy. I don't see it working though. I don't see it working for a few reasons. I don't think they match intellectually. I think that they're two different intellectuals, and that could really make a difference in a relationship, especially at their age. Um, I also think that she doesn't like certain men of like high expertise. I think she likes a moderate man because she likes to be in charge a lot. So I don't also see that working as well because I feel like they will bump heads a lot. So, but my wish, hopefully she finds what she's looking for. I don't think this is the gentleman, but it was a nice enough date for what it was. Mrs. Best, how'd you feel about Marie's date?
Um, I don't know. They could have kept this same. I feel like Marie does this every couple of seasons to avoid talking about her actual life. Nice guy. I don't have nothing bad to say about him, but I don't. I don't think they'll work. I felt like this was for TV.
You feel like this was for TV? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been.
She doesn't share shit, and then when she did share stuff about her life, she was so nasty towards the other women in the group that I think the dislike that people have for her make them question stuff. I don't know. Marie, I'd rather see Marie as a businesswoman and working in her field. I don't really care to see her date. I don't really care to see her with the other women. I'd rather just see her as a boss or with Essie. Like,
Okay. Yeah. I understand. Yeah, I see. Marie needs to go out of state to find a man. I agree. I
it's like, how
actually
many
agree with that.
seasons of this are y'all gonna accept like the same shit? She does this every other season. And then if it don't work with none of these men, she gonna bring back Cedric or somebody else from the past. Like,
Yeah, he was handsome. He was a handsome guy. I don't know. I think Selena brought him. So yeah, interesting enough. She is. The world is after. Okay, Maria, her date. Because who shot up that house? Is there investigation ongoing? You know it
thank you
is.
for acknowledging what I said, Dr. Jen.
It's the same as Love and Marriage Huntsville, rinse and repeat. Thanks to
Yep.
yep. That's I think there's like I don't know, maybe there's just this curiosity of like people who want to see Marie date and have a relationship. I kind of agree with Mrs. Best and everyone in the chat who said that, maybe we need to see more of her personal life, her being a boss, her, running the business with Essie. I think that season where she was opening up that building and practice, we love seeing that Marie. I think this Marie, I think once again, this comment here, I think there's just this element of wanting to see her in a relationship, and I don't understand why. I just don't understand that either. There really is no growth on the show. No, there isn't. I mean, the only person who I feel is grown on the show is Latrice. And that's because we actually get to see the business acumen of her like we were supposed to see when they first started this show. However, that vision is now in void, but still, we're still seeing what we saw in the beginning, which is them being entrepreneurs and opening their business, some more than others, but that was the premise of the show. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But we're gonna move on to the next scene. Matt Paul, this is nothing personal. This is a YouTube channel that's just showcasing our opinion based on what we see. Please do not come at us when we go in on what we're about to talk about. Okay, Matt Paul, I just wanted you to understand that when we talk about this scene. I just want to get the pleasantries out the way, y'all, because y'all know how some of these own people can be. So just saying, only strictly entertainment. I'm not serious. This is none and void. Please do not come at me. So Carrie meets up with her mother and mother-in-law because, according to Matt, her mother-in-law wanted to have a conversation. So Carrie was going to make sure her mama was present so the conversation doesn't turn and gets disrespectful, which it did the moment that lady walked in the door. So Matt's mom walks in and Carrie greets her, says, "Hey, give me a hug." And the first thing out this lady's mouth goes, "Where is your bra?" And Carrie's like, "Well, I'm wearing a bra, like, because she had on a push-up bra and, was exposing, but it wasn't that bad." So the ladies are talking and everything and, catching up, and the conversation is very casual. And Carrie says, "I'm in here cooking." And the mom said, "You cooked?" She goes, "Yeah, I got to feed your grandchildren." and your son and everything. And she goes, I'm surprised that you even have time to cook. You never here. And Carrie was looking at her like, wait, what's going on here? She goes, I'm just saying, sometimes you got to step down from being so busy and everything. You need to be here at home. Carrie was looking at her like, I have businesses. Your son also has a business as well. We're not a traditional family. We work. I have, two businesses that are going successful right now and one that's a little struggling. And she goes, yeah, but you have four people that you need to be worrying about. She goes, listen, ma'am, your son is taken care of. Do he look like he missing a meal? Do he look like he not eating? Do he look like he malnourished? Do he look like he's seen a ghost? No, he is absolutely doing just fine. Thank you. And she goes, I'm just saying you need to be at home, and being a wife and everything. And I said, oh, lady, you are so out of bounds and so out of line. And Matt, I blame you for this because you knew what you were doing. And this is not cool. Ladies, gentlemen, everybody out there, your parents do not need to be overstepping in your marriage. Matt's mom was out of line. And Carrie had, I mean, the patience of a saint, because the way I would have went off, it wouldn't have been pretty up in that room. And me thinking about my mama sitting, my actual mama, not Carrie's mama, because Carrie's mama is so sweet and just sat there and just watched that lady, talk her spell. My mama would have got the cuss, and I wouldn't even be able to open my mouth because my mama would have had it for me. That scene was crazy. I said, Matt, don't do this again. Please don't do this again. We're going to get more in depth into them because he had pissed me off at the end of this episode. But that was crazy as hell to watch. I was like, wow, lady, you something else. So, Mrs. Best, how did you feel about the interaction between Carrie, her mom, and mother-in-law?
I don't know. That lady's rude. I think some mother-in-laws just don't understand how to stay in their place. I don't feel like Matt put her up to it. I actually feel like his mama will do this all on her own, but she just gave Cruella. Like you don't critique another woman's household, how she's living her life. You don't critique another person's marriage and things of that nature. Like Carrie said, if Matt wants to tell her something, it's up to him to tell her, not anybody else. So I don't know. Carrie handled it the best way that she could. I wouldn't have went off on her because it just would have gave that lady something else to like have in her narrative of why Carrie is not a good wife. But I don't know. That lady just looked mean. She looked like she just gives her opinion to everybody in her life, friends, family, people she randomly meets. She looked like she just gives her opinion out when nobody asks for it.
Nobody asked for this. um, but Matt put her up to he did. That's why I said, I remember that lunch scene he had with his mom. And he says, maybe you should talk to Carrie and see if maybe you can get to her. Because his perspective is he's wanting Carrie to let go of that restaurant and Carrie's wanting to save it. And I understand his side of it. But at the same time, if she's not willing to let go of the business, it makes me think that their finances are joined. And maybe that's why he's nervous about it. Because I would start separating shit. If she want to fail, let her do it. Because like Pinky Cole over there on Real Housewives of Atlanta, her shit is separate from her husband. Sometimes maybe you need to separate the assets and split the bank account down the middle and just pay everything separately. Because yeah, this is not, I understand why he's frustrated, but you don't put your mama up to talk to her when it's not her business or her place to say. That's your marriage with your wife. You need to speak up if you're unhappy.
That is true.
Yeah.
Your parents would never be that involved in your marriage, though. That's
Yeah.
the part that's weird because it seems like it's been like that for a very long time.
Absolutely. I think she knows. I think Carrie knows who she's dealing with. That's why she
That's why
probably
she's
did.
so calm,
Yeah.
but she's used to the bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say American born Marie and Essie should branch out to other states and those rehab places make money? They sure do. It was a good business venture. She had the right idea. There's just so many people who are, addicted, substance abuse problems, other issues that those facilitations are amazing and do wonderful if she definitely has the right people in place for them. So she should branch out. The show has reached its plateau. Time for new women who actually are in the firm group. I agree. Yeah, that mother-in-law was something else. Um, Carrie and her husband tried to grow too fast. Yes and no. I think that because since she said that he was the one that brought Brick and Spoon to her and she jumped the gun and did it, I do think that yes, they did grow too fast because they saw the easy opportunity with that already being a made franchise. I think that they did see the opportunity and just wanted to keep going and keep going. I think where because naturally you're going to want to buy more into franchises. Like I've worked for one before, and as quick as you can buy into them is also the quick way you could lose, capital. So you have to kind of be careful in a sense. And I think that they're not being careful. Well, at least Carrie's not in this instance. I think she took more than what she can handle in this moment. Sometimes you need to space that out with franchises. Like, you know, two is fine, until you get better, acquainted with areas and understanding them. Two is fine for now. I think she should just kept the two restaurants. What else? Pink. They are 40 something years old. Shake my head. Let's play bingo and mind your business. Lady, go play bingo and mind your business. She need to do something. It's given she's bored. And it's given like I don't know if his father is still living. I don't know what that circumstance is, but it's given she got way too much time on her hands. Way too much time on her hands. Like Pinky, she did the same thing, grew too fast and went off the rails. I agree. And that's where I said I feel like it's growing too fast. So I do agree with that. But at the same time, it's something that's very common when you don't think of because it's a franchise. What Pinky did, Pinky started her own franchise, which kind of was a little bit of a risk taker, whereas Carrie bought into one that was already well established. So it is the same, but it's not, if that makes sense. So yeah. But yeah, Carrie got her hands full with that one. That mother-in-law was something else, though. I said, Lord Jesus. But we'll get more into Carrie and Paul or Matt, whatever his name is, in just a second here. So the next thing, we have a trio link up between Tambra, Marie, and Latrice. Every time I say these three names together, I'm like, they actually are meeting up for the link. Lord Jesus, growth is a beautiful thing. So these three meet up and they're talking about the date. They asked Marie how it went. She said he went really well. She says he's a nice guy. She didn't say whether or not she's going to see him again or if there's going to continuation going to happen. So that's why I say I didn't see no chemistry there between them anyway. I just think she just had a good time. They then talk about Letitia and this whole prenup thing, or not prenup, excuse me, this conversation about Glendale going to go see a divorce attorney. Marie's trying to put two and two together to see exactly how this conversation came about, who brought it up, how much did the other girls know about it? Because she was asking questions. Why did Selena come to you two before bringing that to Letitia? Now, I did agree with Marie there. I felt like Selena was being messy, but you're on the show, so it's the forum. But in real life, it wouldn't go down like that. You would bring it right to the source and say, hey, is everything okay? I heard some disturbing news. I want to make sure you good. I think that that's how Selena should have approached it. But, you got to be messy for the show. So the girls was like, oh, no, she had just found out the day before and she told us. And we didn't even say anything about it after the fact. We told her and your timing to tell her. And which is true. But once again, it is messy for her to tell y'all before she tells Letitia, because now all of her business is spread onto the rest of the collective. The last thing we talk about is Latrice wanting a baby. And that's a shock to everybody because the last they heard from Latrice, she needed to schedule a doctor's appointment to have a surgery. So they're trying to figure out, well, you keep putting off this surgery and here you are talking about babies. Like, what's going on? Why is the surgery not happening? She goes, well, I can continue, just to put that off. I'm going to do it. I just got to do it on my time, but I want kids. So I'm starting to get that itch and everything, and Tambra, I have an idea, Tambra. How about you let me babysit little London Simone for you? And Tambra looked at her like, girl, please, I barely trust the outside people with my baby and my family. How about go bring you into the picture and babysit? That's not happening. And she goes, girl, I got a lot of land. She can run around. I could put her in the jacuzzi. And they're like, oh my God. She cannot go to jacuzzi. She only 2 years old. She goes, I won't even turn the heat up. And I'm just looking at Latrice. I'm like, y'all, Latrice at times reminds me so much of Portia. Like just the mannerisms and then what comes out of her mouth. I'm just like, this reminds me of Portia so much. I'm like, Latrice, let it go, baby. Just let it go. Get that surgery. Take care of your health. That's all we want. Mrs. Best, how did you feel about the scene with Marie trying to get, their perspective on Letitia's situation with Glendale? And also, how do you feel about Latrice telling them that she wants a baby when they're bringing up her health concerns?
People can want a baby if they're having health concerns.
Hmm.
It's just maybe address them before having the baby. But other than that, if it has to do with Letitia and Glendale, I'm not commenting. I'm tired of them people. I'm not giving them no energy. Uh, Latrice, I don't know. Just because you want a baby don't mean your husband want one. So I'm curious to see how it all end. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like the episode was a little dry. I've
It is
honestly
dry.
made.
That's what I'm trying to get through it as quick as I can. It
I don't know.
was dry. Y'all, we tried. Y'all, this show is just, ugh. It was just, I fell asleep on it twice. So I had to watch it two times this morning and force myself to pay attention.
I enjoyed the bells. It's just sometimes there's a drier episode. I think that's all it was. This one was a little bit of a drier episode. I think they were relying too much on conversations about Letitia and Glendale when like the audience doesn't really care. I think most of us expect for them to act a fool, go through this horrible, scandalous thing that should never happen in any relationship or marriage, and then they'll move past it, she'll forgive it, or they'll end up celibate. It's like same song and dance with those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and move on, y'all, to because they really didn't talk much about anything else. We have a scene with Carrie and Matt. They're in their backyard. She walks in there being condescending a little bit. I said, Carrie. She goes, "Oh, look at there! You finally did something that I didn't even have to tell you to do." And he was like, "Yeah, are you coming out here to bother me?" She goes, "Absolutely. We got to talk." So she fills him in on the conversation that happens with, his mother and everything. And Matt in his confessional says that, I tried to talk to Carrie, but she doesn't listen about the Brick and Spoon location in Mobile. I feel like she needs to let that go. She needs to be done with it so it doesn't, make a bigger mess than what it can do. He just started his business, so he felt the best way to have Carrie maybe see some point of view is to get his mother involved. And I said, Matt, you are a grown man. That was not the move to make. Like, regardless of how you feel, regardless if she didn't listen, then you need to start having different conversations with her about what this can do if she continues to go down this slope. Not bring your mama in to intensify the situation without your mother knowing the full details. All your mother knows is your perspective, your point of view of the frustration that you have with Carrie in this business, but she doesn't see all of the aspects. And I think that that's the problem when parents get involved in grown folks conversations with their partners, is that they literally have one point of view of the story, and that's usually their child's frustration. And to some parents, and especially mothers, that's all they need to see that the situation is wrong from just one perspective for they go haywire and crazy. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, his mama just came in and was throwing slides and insults and not really getting to the core. And like Carrie said, like, I'm not your mama. I'm not finna sit up there at home, be a housewife and everything like that. I'm not finna do that. We're not that couple. And I also understand that too. I kind of feel like those are just old Southern wise tales that the men make the money, the women stay at home, bear the children, cook the meals and everything. And Matt said that's what he came. That's what he came from. The problem that I have with that is, Matt, that's not what you married. You married a woman whose background was her mom was an entrepreneur, her dad was an entrepreneur. So that's the realm of what she's used to. You can't take something that your element of life and then put it on her. That's not how life goes. If she had it in her family, 9 out of 10, she's probably going to emulate that same thing and go get it for herself the same way she saw her parents do. We all demonstrate what we saw as kids growing up. And if that's what we saw, 9 out of 10, we're going to emulate that when we become adults. Or sometimes some kids just stray another path. But she has it in her. So you couldn't expect her to be a stay-at-home wife, bear children, and just, cook every day. That's not who you married. And she tells him, look, your mama being accusatory and accusing me of things that you also do, mind you, because you're out of town a lot as well. I'm local. I'm in the business, but I'm at home. But you go out of town, you go to your conferences, you do all these things. So why is it okay for you to do it and not me? So they're not seeing eye to eye. They have totally two different perspectives. And I'm trying to figure out, was this always an issue with y'all too? Because I'm surprised y'all were able to work this out this long. Or was
I
Matt
mean,
just passive?
they literally came on the show with this as an issue. I think
Mm-hmm.
what happened is they talked about it a little bit season one with
Mm-hmm.
that weird backyard date they did. I think it was like their first or second episode that we met them. They had a lot of issues, but I feel like that second location she opened up, the franchise that's struggling, I feel like that became the focal point of her storyline as well as the beef with the ladies. And so they didn't really highlight it, but this
Right.
has always been an issue for this couple. I think we just forgot about it because of all the other crazy shit that has happened since they've got here, because a lot has happened.
Right.
And Carlos, if he sees, because I believe they should have came back their second season talking about that stuff and showing their progress, but then we got so caught up in that storyline with Latrice and Letitia getting into it, fighting in
Mm-hmm.
parking lots and all that crazy shit that we forgot about it. But Carrie and I don't know if his name is Paul or Matt. I don't know which one it is. I'm gonna call him Matt Paul for now. But I feel like they're staying together just to stay together, and probably because they've been together for so long. But I think they need to go to a counselor,
They definitely need
because both
counseling.
of them, something you said that is true. They are both doing the same things,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody is willing to sacrifice or do a little bit less. She's not,
Exactly.
and he's not. In fact, they both want to grow more. So they just need to see a counselor and get their fucking messy ass Cruella the Bill mama. She even got white hair like Cruella. They need to keep her the fuck out their business. Because Carrie's mom, when she gets advice from her mom seems to be pretty like in the middle, pretty neutral, and try to give the best advice that like would align with like what's good for a marriage. Whereas Matt's mama, thank you, Dr. Jen, for giving me her name, Miss Cruella, she seemed to only be concerned about what's best for her and her son and nothing else. Not the grandkids, not none of it. So they got to remove that cancer.
I agree. And then the thing about it is, as I'm processing, the scene a little bit more, I really don't think nothing is actually wrong in this
They're just
situation.
busy,
They're just busy. That's
which
just,
is
there's nothing
blessing.
actually wrong. Y'all just have to readapt to your lifestyle.
But it's hard when if one person in a relationship is going and getting advice from somebody that is only concerned about the one person versus the betterment of the relationship,
Right.
that's going to cause a rift. That's
Yeah.
going to cause a rift. That's why I don't talk to everybody about my relationship. You got to go to the people who are going to look and make sure that you're good, but also look at what's best for your spouse too. And Matt's mama is not that.
Yeah, she's definitely not. I don't even know what he was thinking, putting his mama up to that. Like, I really don't know what you were thinking, because all you did was allow this lady to come to your wife
Where's his
with
dad?
her own perspective. That's what I'm saying. Where is your
Is
father?
he
Is he
passed
still?
on,
I
or is
don't
he
know.
just not involved? That's what I would want to know. Because
I
the way he gives mama's boy, I'm not gonna lie.
He does.
He gives mama's boy. He really does give that. And Carrie is independent, but I mean, if you're still cooking food for your kids and your family and still at home and local, like she did have a point there. Like, why are you coming at just her? But Corella is mean, okay? She wanted to make the dogs into a coat, so I'm not surprised. She reminds me of Corella. She even hold her hair just like it. Her hair is white just like it. She looked mean.
I mean, every time she said, I'm not gonna call that lady Cruella, but
I am.
but she no, but she was out of line. Like, I'm sorry, his mama was completely out of line. That was unnecessary. There's no way that lady should have came in the house doing all of that, and then to learn in this scene that she had a little, stiff cocktail before she got there, and probably while she
Well,
was
that didn't
there,
help
that
because
didn't
she
help the
didn't mean her.
situation. And Matt talking about why you didn't take the drink from her. She goes, I'm not going to take a drink from a grown woman. And she shouldn't have to.
That's right.
She shouldn't have to. Like, that was crazy that he even said that. I said, man, get out of
Matt
here with
wants
all
to
this.
put the woman as the one I've noticed who's responsible for everything. His mama got to talk to his wife. His wife got to take the drink from his mom. The fuck are you doing, Matt?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, right. But we gonna move on, y'all, because that was a crazy scene. The last scene we're gonna talk about is Cliff and Latrice. So she decided she wanted to spend some time with her husband while he's out doing, his fishing on their little lodge. And she said, I've never done this before. She catches a little fish. It was a cute scene. And she brings up the baby conversation again. And she goes, I, really want to consider having a kid. And he goes, you waited too late to do it. She goes, you have 5 kids. You raised your kids. I have not had any children. Like, I want to be able to experience that as well. He goes, you have to understand, I'm older. I'm not getting any younger. I want to do other things now that, things are getting better for me and I'm in a great place. Like, I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to go on trips. I want to do the things that I was not able to do raising children and building my business and brands. I want to go ahead and do that. I cannot blame Cliff. Y'all, I'm sorry. Latrice, I love you. I do. I cannot blame Cliff for having that outlook of life because you don't want to be too old traveling, but you want to be young enough to be able to experience, especially when you got all your businesses, everything is running itself, things are smooth. Yes, travel, see the world. I have no fault in what Cliff wants. And Latrice sees all kinds of problems with that. She goes, I want a kid and I want you to climb on board with this. And Cliff told her, well, I'm actually considering having an appointment to get a vasectomy. She goes, oh, no, you not. No, you will not. That's not going to happen. It's not going to. He goes, well, yeah, I'm really considering doing that. She goes, well, if you do that, then that's grounds for a divorce. I said, not us casually throwing out the D word. Damn. She can waste no time with that. So production asked her, is she serious? Like, are you really considering? She goes, absolutely. I want a kid. And if he goes and gets a vasectomy, yes, we are going to get a divorce. I said, well, goddamn. And once again, I understand her perspective, but I align with Cliff a little bit more. Not because he's a man, but because you had to understand Latrice. And that's where I think a lot
Latrice
of
is
women.
being selfish. She's
She
being
is.
selfish.
Yeah,
It
she
has
is.
nothing to do with him being a man. It's unfair to kids to have some old ass parents that can't keep up with them at the park, can't take them on the vacation. Like, come on now. Like it sounds fucked up, but it's true. Like the older you get, the harder it is. I'm 34, and for me to have a kid, I'm like, shit, do I really want to do that? Because it would be a lot. Like the older you get, the harder it is to keep up with a child. It's just the fact. Also, I'm siding with Clip too. He wanted a child and was willing to have kids with his wife, and she was hell bent on not doing it because she wanted to focus on the money. Latrice has to understand that marriage is compromise. It's not just what one person wants. So just because you want a child doesn't mean that it's the time to have a child. A child needs a father as well. So she's being selfish and showing that she may not be ready for a kid, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's good
It's like you throwing
observation.
a whole fucking tantrum over kids. The man wanted to have kids with you. You wasn't trying to have kids with him. And at the time, you had some shallow ass reasons that you gave. Now, because you decide you want to do it, because you having fibroid issues that may lead to her potentially needing a hysterectomy, now suddenly you want to rush into it. But you shouldn't make the decision to have kids based on your health, feeling rushed. You should make the choice to have children because you are financially, emotionally, mentally ready and can provide them with a loving mother and father. Like that's
Yes.
what you should do. So it's kind of crazy that she's doing this. She could have also said to him or talked to him and asked about like a sperm donor. She could have discussed adoption with him if his concern was going through the infant stage. But she's just hell bent and concerned with what she wants and not what he wants at all. And you just cannot do that in a marriage. You can't.
All right, 100%. You said it best. You really did. You really said it best. Exactly. Now, in my opinion, it's a storyline. I don't think she wants kids at all. I think she does. I just think that in her mind. She wants it when she wants it, because the marriage pretty much for the most part goes Latrice's way. Like, for as far as what we can see on television, she pretty much gets what she wants. And I think this is another example of her sowing her feet in the sand, saying, I want this. And because he's giving her pushback, now she's making it where, oh my God, you're not giving me what I want like you used to. I want a divorce now. That's how it's coming off. And to me, that's kind of pathetic and very childish, because you're not going to get everything you want in a marriage. You're not going to. It's impossible. Now, can you be spoiled? Yes, of course. But the shoe is going to drop, because he can't continuously do this. And one, he's older. So it's even more of a perspective that, listen, he's already lived the life you are living currently. He's already lived that life. Nothing he could do. So I don't blame him for now putting his foot down, saying, hey, the time has passed. So if you want kids, you're going to have to do it a different way. Sorry. But that's life, y'all. I don't feel bad for Latrice, because that's life. It is what it is. But that was the episode, y'all. It was, a filler episode, to say, the least. But we had some very controversial topics here. Boundaries, mother-in-law boundaries, children boundaries, a lot of boundary conversations that need to be happening with these people that they're not having on TV. But, we'll see where this goes, and we see where this continues. We'll see in, regular time if Cliff and Latrice are heading to divorce. We hope that Carrie and Matt figure out that mama issue and this business issue. Good luck, Letitia. We didn't talk about you. And that was about it. Mrs. Best, anything I missed? And she has not spoken, y'all, so nothing that I missed. But I want to thank everyone for being here. I have one more live right after this. It is Heart and Hustle Houston, and then we're going to call it a good Sunday. So we want to thank everybody for being here. Shout out to my replay gang. Hey, y'all. Make sure you like the video, and I will see you guys on my next live. Have a good one, y'all. Bye-bye.